Zaki the Desert Wanderer. In the heart of the vast, sandy Sahara Desert, there lived a young dromedary camel named Zaki. Zaki was a special kind of camel, with just one hump on his back. Zaki's home was northern Africa, where the sun blazed hot during the day and the wind whispered cool secrets at night. Where Zaki lived there were hardly any trees, just scattered shrubs and dry grasses poking up here and there. But Zaki liked it that way. He was built perfectly for it. His broad feet were like soft pillows, allowing him to walk on the hot sand without sinking in. And his long, thick eyelashes, they protected his eyes from the stinging wind and the swirling dust during the desert storms. His thick, light-colored fur protected him from the scorching sun, keeping him cool even when the heat was unbearable. He could travel for miles and miles, his long legs carrying him gracefully over the dunes, allowing him to run very fast when there was danger. His secret was simple. His body was a marvel of desert survival. Zaki wasn't alone in the desert. He lived with a herd of other camels, led by his wise old uncle, Rahim. They were all so close to a Bedouin family, and Zaki had a human friend, a young boy named Yusuf. Yusuf would guide Zaki on long journeys to help carry goods and water across the desert. Zaki admired Yusuf for his kindness and gentle care. In return, Zaki was strong and dependable, always ready to help. Every day, Zaki would nibble on dry grasses and thorny shrubs. It wasn't the tastiest food, but for a camel, it was perfect. During the dry seasons, Zaki ate less and used the fat in his hump to survive while food was scarce. When the rainy season arrived and the desert bloomed with a splash of grain, Zaki would feast, filling his belly and plumping up his hump again. Life in the desert followed this rhythm, with food coming and going like the tides of the distant sea. As Zaki grew older, something began to change. He was no longer the playful, carefree young camel he once was. He was now becoming an adult, and his thoughts turned to finding a mate. In the camel world, this wasn't a simple task. Zaki needed to prove himself. To impress a female, he had to stand tall, even though he was already 2 meters tall, puff out his narrow chest, and show off his strength with deep, rumbling calls, letting her know he was strong and brave. One day, after a fierce contest with another young male, Zaki found himself nose to nose with a beautiful female camel named Layla. She was impressed by his display, and soon they were wandering together through the dunes, side by side. Zaki was proud to have won her affection. After their time together, Layla would eventually give birth to a calf, but it would take a long time, about 13 months. When the baby camel, called a calf, was born, it was small and wobbly, but within hours, it would be standing on its own 4 legs. Zaki watched with pride as the little one began to explore its new world. The calf would stay close to its mother for the first 2 years, learning how to survive in the desert, just like Zaki had when he was young. In the desert, life wasn't always easy for camels. There were dangers like fierce sandstorms, where the winds howled, and the sands shifted like waves. Sometimes predators like jackals or humans with bad intentions roamed the edges of the desert. But Zaki was strong, smart, and well adapted. He had learned to stay with his herd, where there was safety in numbers, and he always had Yusuf and his family who cared for him. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the dunes. Zaki sat with his herd, enjoying the cool breeze after a long, hot day. His hump was full, his belly content from a good meal, and he felt the gentle nudge of Layla beside him. Life in the desert could be tough, but Zaki wouldn't trade it for anything. There was something magical about the wide open spaces, the silent nights, and the feeling of freedom that only a camel could understand.